But I guess we can move on to Burn the Witch then.
That we can! Tite Kubo's new manga. Whereas Bleach was about Eastern mythology, very Japanese kind of mythology, and I'm all about, like, the undead spirits, kind of ghostly demonic creatures and soul reapers and all that. Burn the Witch takes a more Western style direction in terms of both setting and in terms of its mythology. It's set in London, in England, and instead of fighting hollows or like demon ghost things, they fight dragons, which functionally are kinda like the hollows of the series in terms of the fact that dragons, in terms of this universe and in this context of the series, is a catch-all term for basically anything that people cannot normally see. And so the dragons kind of are living in this parallel kind of world to the real world in London. They're living in this reverse London, basically. And in the reverse London, there is an agency that is tasked to handle basically dragon conservation and controlling the population and, you know, managing them and stuff, called the Wingbind headquarters. And we find out that the Wingbind headquarters is like a branch of Soul Society later. So we got a Bleach connection. But basically the job of the Wing Branch conservationists is that they, you know, go out and deal with any dragon-related problems. And so dragons can be pests, but they also can be natural resources that can be, like, used for various things. Like, you can use dragons to mine electricity or as food and stuff. But also dragons are born out of, kind of like how hollows are distorted by the negative emotions of humans. Dragons are also born out of the negative emotions of humans. At least they're giving like a manifested physical form. And so that plays into this chapter in the sense that the male lead, the love interest, I guess.
Stalker? I don't know.
Bargo? Yeah, stalker. Pervert, sexual predator. All around good for nothing jerk. I don't know. I did not care for this character. Because he's so perverted, so obsessed with the main character, Noelle's. The titular witch is Noelle and Nini are bird conservationists, by the way. So he's so obsessed with Noelle's knickers, which is, you know, her underwear, that he turns his dog into basically a dragon. Or, to be more accurate, like, the dog was already a kind of a dragon. It was already dead. And so, like, you know, it's just that Bargo's obsessive thoughts about Noelle's knickers caused it to transform fully into a dragon. And then the dragon is all screaming about, you know, Bargo's single-minded desire for knickers. So, you know, dragons, you know, grow from the negative emotions and of people and whatever. So, you know, it's kind of weird and funny. But
I love how you just have a dragon that just, like, whose roar is literally, like, if you read, like, the Japanese sound effects, his roar is literally Pansu. Which is also something I really enjoyed about the translation of this one shot, is that, because clearly, like, obviously it takes place in London. They use, like, you know, British, like, slang and terminology in the translation. So I really enjoyed the attention to detail as far as the dialogue and the translation goes. It really made like the setting feel that much more authentic.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Brandon. Hopefully we can have him on the show sometime. But yeah, so basically in the climax of the chapter, like at the main conflict, so Bargo's dog, Ozushi, becomes a dragon because he can't stop thinking about Noah's Snickers, so they have to stop it. But they also have to, like, get rid of Bargo and his best friend Selby because humans cannot interact with dragons. That's a crime and they gotta be executed, basically. So ultimately, Noelle's like partner, Nini, tries to take out Selby, Barga's best friend, but it turns out Selby was also a dragon, because the real Selby died 10 years ago, and all this time for 10 years, Selby has just been growing off of negative emotions and energy around him, biding his time, I guess, for this moment where he would encounter witches and then eat them and become immortal.
Which, by the way, the design for this dragon is amazing. I don't even know how to say it. It's like so, like, unconventionally, like, terrifying. It's like, it's abstractly terrifying the way that, like, his head, like, kind of, like, is shaped into a spiral, and, like, his mouth kind of, like, opens. Like, it's really hard to describe, but, like, it's
corkscrew shaped, it spirals around, like, you can see there's teeth within, like, this shape of the mouth, but he can, like, jut it out like a projectile and extend it, so it's, like, extremely sharp, and, like, he can coil it around and stuff, so the way it moves, so snake-like, but also the fact that its face is so broken up like that is just, it makes it a very terrifying creature, but it also, like, has some flexibility because it also can look cartoonish in a way in some close-ups, because it has, you know, very big eyes and very, like, jagged teeth.
Kubo's dragons designs are, like, top-notch. Like, they're all really good.
Yeah, Kubo has also been an incredible character designer, and his creature designs have always been really stand out, and one of the most notable and, you know, fascinating parts of his series. Like, back in Bleach, like, his hollow designs were all incredible in terms of, like, being scary, but also being, you know, silly at times, and in general just being unique looking antagonists, even if they were ultimately, you know, only meant to be fodder. Like, just the fact that a normal hollow looked so threatening and so spooky, it gives a lot of flavor to that series. And that's the case of Burn the Witch too, is that, you know, Kubo can draw really conventional looking dragons like the dragon Osushi becomes, but also these more abstract and distorted nightmarish kind of designs like Selby's is, you know, It gives a lot of flavor. And when you're thinking about, okay, how can the series be expanded into like a, you know, regular serial, just the fact that Kubo is so creative at playing around with the concept of what is a dragon and has so many unique design sensibilities that he can apply to inspire various different dragon-like creatures, I think there would be a lot of legs in a full serialization if he chose to turn it into one.
I was going to say, I'm really conflicted because, like, I would not mind seeing more of Burn the Witch if it became a series, but I also want Kubo to just rest. Because, I mean, like, I feel like we've probably talked about it on the show at one point or another, but he clearly was dealing with a lot of depression kind of near the end of Bleach, and it was really hard for him to, like, keep going at one point. So it's like, I kind of want him to just, like, rest as much as he can and just let him kind of come back whenever he wants to. But, like, man, I really kind of want more Burn the Witch, even if it's just, like, a mini-series. Like if it's something like 4 volumes long, kind of like how long Zombie Powder ended up being, just something. I wouldn't mind at least seeing a little bit more of this world. And like you said, I didn't even like catch that. Like as soon as you said, "Oh, it's another branch of the Soul Society," I actually had to like scroll through the one shot and look, and it clearly says in English letters Soul Society West Branch, and I totally did not catch that the first time I read it, and I feel really stupid because it's, like, right there.
Do you notice what the shaded parts of the Burn the Witch logo spell?
No, I didn't hear.
Right on the left page of that Soul Society West Branch image. Look at the letters.
Oh, it says Bleach. Damn it, I didn't catch that at all. Man, Kubo, you sly dog, you. Putting in little Easter eggs. See, that's a great Easter egg, actually. But no, yeah, I'm also kind of conflicted because, like, because it's like, I had a hard time getting into like the actual story because like, Kubo also has to like, he has to like kind of set up the world of Burn the Witch like in as little time as possible. Cause I mean like he has 60 pages to work with, but like you also have to like set up your world and tell a somewhat complete story. You know what I mean? So like he has to kind of has to like explain a lot about this world in like as little time as possible, in as much dialogue as he can, again in like so little space. So like, I'm a lot more interested in the world of Burn the Witch, but like I think it's safe to say like we had a really hard time getting into like whatever his name is, pervert guy. I just did not care about him at all, and I was really wondering like what his actual relationship with Noelle was, because like I'm having a lot of trouble trying to remember like is he like a school friend?
Yeah, they're childhood friends, basically.
Huh, that's kind of surprising to me considering like how obsessed he is with seeing her panties. Like, I don't know, it's so weird to me, and I went through this thing where like I didn't really think it was that funny at first, but then like his desires manifest into this giant dragon that roars panties or knickers in the English translation. But like, so it kind of circled around from like not being that funny and kind of tiresome to like this should not be funny, but it kind of is, because it's like such a weird thing. It's like such a weird thing that I kind of only expect from like manga. Like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It was just really weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that part in itself is like fine, like the dragon yelling knickers, that's funny. But I guess I had a problem with this one shot in that immediately afterwards we get this complete tone whiplash, because when Selby transforms into a dragon, after that point it's like a couple of pages of like dramatic and serious pathos. I mean, there's some jokes peppered in, but basically the whole relationship between Bargo and Selby is supposed to be taken seriously as this big dramatic thing. Bargo makes this big speech about, I've known you longer than I knew the real Selby. You're my friend. I can't abandon you, and all that stuff. And so then it's like this, it's weird because we're supposed to take it seriously, but then it becomes a joke at the end because they kill Selby and Bargo's like, wait, I thought with the way the scene was playing out, he wouldn't have to die. So for me, it's just like, there's a lot of mixed messages in what the tone of the series is supposed to be. Am I supposed to take that part where Bargo is giving his speech seriously? Is that supposed to be parody? I'm not sure. So that whole section felt at odds with the rest of the chapter for me. Even though I actually think that was the most compelling part of the chapter more than the comedy part, because Bargo as a comedic character was just not working for me at all. I really did not care for him. I think that Kubo does a really bad job with these kind of perverted characters, and they're always really annoying. Cone back in Bleach was the same way. Ichigo's friends, who Bargo reminds me a lot of Keigo.
Yeah.
Like Ichigo's one friend who was very similar in terms of his flighty and pervy personality. It's just, I never care for those kind of characters Kubo wrote. And so Bargo, the fact that he's so prominent and he actually has the emotional crux of the chapter in terms of his relationship with Selby, it just didn't work very well for me. I'm much more interested in Noelle and Nini and their whole job as conservationists of dragons, and I like that aspect of it, but I feel like I would like just the concept of Burn the Witch more if Bargo was not a part of it. I mean, the twist at the end that Bargo, because of his interactions with dragons, has become more dragon than human, and so they have to conserve him and basically keep watch over him. I get that is a funny enough twist, but like, I hate Bargo as a character so much that I don't want to see him around. I just want to see Noelle and Nini do cool things, but I don't want Bargo to be involved at all.
Yeah, like, I would have been really okay if, like, Bargo just never came back after his first scene.
Yeah, just like Cone, they forget him for 500 chapters. That'll be great. They just forget him, and then he doesn't show up again until the last arc of the series, where he makes a cameo for a couple chapters, and then is forgotten about again. That's how it'll be. That's how it should be. Or just like Ichigo's friends, becomes completely irrelevant.
And see, that's the reason why I'm so conflicted on Kubo, is because, like, I actually think now that I'm, like, thinking back on Bleach, and, now that I've read Burn the Witch, I think he's a great artist. Like, I think he's actually pretty, like, obviously, I think he had more passion and style, back when, like, he first started Bleach, and, I think it's safe to say that the quality of Bleach, as far as, like, its art, kind of declined as far as, like, style goes. But, I mean, like, it still looked pretty okay. And I think, like, Kubo is a competent artist. Like, I don't think anyone can say otherwise, personally. But, like, I just don't... Like, it's the same thing with Mashima. Like, I think they're great artists, but sometimes I just don't like their storytelling at all. I mean, granted, like, it's not as bad here in Burn the Witch as bad as it is, like, it could be in Bleach sometimes, but, like, I don't know, because, like, I just feel like Kubo focuses on, like, the wrong things sometimes. Like, with Burn the Witch, like we said, like, I think I would have enjoyed Burn the Witch so much more if Kubo actually spent more time fleshing out the world and, like, actually did more world building, and we got to see Noelle and Nini actually, do their jobs and, like, actually fight dragons and stuff. But, like, I just think it was a wrong move to, like you said, give the emotional crux of the story to, a character like Bargo. I just had a hard time kind of getting into the one shot completely, because I just did not care about him as a character at all. And even when he almost kind of got me with his, like, as I think he could have had a great turnaround, with him being like, his whole thing about him not giving up on his friend. Like, I think that could have been, like, the one redeeming quality of him that, like, Kubo could have maybe taken advantage of. But, like, he goes for, like, the anticlimax, and it's, like, to me, it's not really that funny. It feels really forced. Like, it's just kind of like, it just kind of feels like, oh, I have to end the one shot. Oh, I'll make a joke out of this. Why not? I'll get a laugh out of my readers. But, like, I just don't think it works.
Yeah. I'm in agreement. I think that the chapter tried to do too much in terms of, introducing the world and then introducing all these different characters, that it just kept losing focus. And that was what I felt about Bleach too, is that there was so much going on in Bleach that it really felt like it was losing focus chapter to chapter and within chapters themselves. And I felt that with Burn the Witch, if he chose one direction and focused on fewer characters and more compelling and interesting characters, I would have been more into it. As it stands, I still think the premise is really interesting, and I like the character designs, especially Noelle and Nini, and there are some really good expressions Noelle has in particular in the chapter, I think. And I think that the 2-page spread of her shooting Selby with, like, her gun is a cool image. But, yeah, in general, I think there just needed to be less ideas and less things to focus on within this one shot, just narrow things down a little bit so that we could have, like, one clear direction, and that all the characters, like, felt like all the characters were endearing and compelling and had, like, a growth within the one shot.
But I think all of our, like, I guess all of our problems aside, like, I still enjoyed it somewhat. Like, it was just nice to see more stuff from Kubo.
Yeah, I mean, I liked reading it a lot because, again, I think that I liked a lot of the ideas, and I liked a lot of the creature designs. So I enjoyed reading it, even if it wasn't as cohesive in terms of a story and as compelling as a story as I would have liked it to be. I would have liked it to focus more on Noelle and less on Bargo.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it.